Hey there, so my name is Tyler. I'll be moderating this panel. If you're not familiar with me at all, and I could easily forgive you if you don't, I am the video producer for Make magazine, so in addition to managing the live stream out of Maker Faire here this weekend, I run the Make YouTube channel, and whether that comes to hosting and video recording, editing, and building the videos that we put together, but also arranging for other content from other folks from our Make community. People like Bob Clagett and Laura have contributed videos to us, and actually even Peter Brown in the past too. But I'm just here to hopefully get these people talking, because they're all a lot cooler than me. So let's go ahead and introduce them. Right in the middle here is Laura Kampf. She has a few fans. We're lucky to have her here with us today. She's come all the way out from her home in Cologne, Germany. She's a maker and craftswoman. She's got her own workshop that she's been working out of for how long?
My recent workshop right now is 1 year old, but I've been working in the shop for 7 or 8 years now.
Yeah, and with her YouTube channel, she's been making a lot of really beautiful, started out making a lot of really beautiful furniture out of like wood and metal, and lately she's been making a lot of really crazy bikes and cool stuff like that. You should really check out her hand truck bicycle for retrieving crates of beer from the store. That's an awesome one. And next up we have Bob Clagett. I don't know why, I always tend to think of you primarily as a woodworker, which is a big mistake because you work in everything. I mean, whether it's working with electronics or Raspberry Pi or welding or woodworking or just making small fixes to secondhand tools or things like that, it would be a mistake to say that everything you do makes it look easy. But what I would say is every time I watch one of your videos, you go, I could do that. I might not be easy, but I could totally do that.
That's awesome.
He's also is on a great weekly podcast called Making It. He's joined by Jimmy DeResta and David Picciuto on that, so check that out. And next up we have Mark Rober. He's an ex-NASA engineer and holds the world record for the world's largest Nerf gun. Although I'd like you to see, maybe go toe-to-toe sometime against Jocko to build the world's fastest Nerf gun. He has a really awesome science-focused channel, always pointing out cool learning points throughout the entire process. And he might be the world's coolest uncle. And finally, we have Peter Brown. In addition to wood turning and general woodworking, he does a lot of experimentation with crazy materials, making wood turning material or turning materials out of things like crayons, and also does a lot of fun experiments with resin casting and something about a murder bowl. And also does lots of really cool collaborations with other makers. So that's a quick run through of our panel and who we're talking to today. But just to get sort of the conversation started, most of you have at some point in the past few years quit your job and decided that this whole thing about YouTube, it's time to do it full time. And I'd like to hear some of the decisions that went into that to decide that this is where you want to be and what you want to be doing with your work.
I think that's just Laura and I, actually. Right?
No, I'm definitely not doing it full time.
Okay, I think it's just the two of us.
But I can be the contrary. I'd love to do that.
Okay. Well, let's start with Laura. You tell us about your...
Sorry, I fell off the chair. Here we go. Is this on? Okay. So actually with me it was the other way around. I quit my job before I started YouTube because I was so fed up with my job and I couldn't take it anymore. I said, okay, I will find another way to make this work. And then I started building my business, doing client work, doing furniture for bars, trying to get into set design. And yeah, client work is sometimes difficult to take as well. I just wanted to be my own boss and do stuff that I'm really passionate about. So I started the YouTube channel as a hobby and as a thing to connect to the community and as a thing to keep me sane, to give me something to look forward to during the week. And thanks to Bob and the Making It guys, they mentioned my first video and it was quite successful from the start. And I thought, well, I mean, I don't have a job, so I should do this full time. And that's what I did, and so far it worked out well.
Awesome. I didn't know that we helped with that video. That's cool.
Yeah, you mentioned my first video on the Making It podcast, and that gave me a lot of street credit.
Good. So I did software development for about 15 years, and I ended up getting back in the shop and making some stuff just to get away from the computer, basically. And I hated commission work. So I never wanted to take on, I never wanted to get into the business of making things for other people. And so I figured education or like motivation was the better way for me to be able to do what I wanted, but still make it usable for other people. And so I started doing that really as just a way to keep myself sane outside of software. And then it just took over. And I wanted to do it more than my job. And so now here we are.
So for me, so I do the YouTube thing. So I'm not allowed to say this on the channel, and I won't go into too many details, but I actually work for a certain large tech company in the Bay Area, doing my mechanical engineering type of stuff. But for me, it's almost like there's something beautiful about having the YouTube thing personally as sort of a side hobby that I really love and enjoy. And as soon as and again, this is a personal choice, but if that was my main thing, I feel like it changes in my brain things a little bit, and then it could lose that passion and that excitement you have for it. And as soon as that happens, I think that's game over. And I think that shows. You can still make videos, but I think it will show to people that has died a little bit, right? So for me, I don't work totally full-time, but I try and protect the YouTube thing as sort of a side hobby and thing that I think is fun, and obviously it can generate some revenue, but in my brain, that helps a lot.
I agree with Mark. So I basically had a wood shop. I've had a wood shop since 2007, and I went ahead and went into production mode where I was making things and selling them and walking around town and getting into shops and doing it for sales and getting lots of customers, and I was really successful at it, and it turned the fun of the wood shop into the most miserable experience ever because I was pedaling and busy working on making people happy, and I had stolen all of my joy. So what I did is I closed up my shop for 3 months and I didn't even go into it. That's how much I hated it. And it wasn't until there was a video on Make Magazine's channel by somebody named Jimmy DeResta, and he took an old hatchet and he put a Hadoop handle on it, and I was like, I want to make videos. So on my birthday, I went into my shop, I made a video, and I haven't looked back. And I never want to get to that point where the shop is running me. So I don't want to trade one boss at work for 450,000 bosses on the internet.
So one of the reasons why, one of the things I wanted to back up a little bit is YouTube as a platform, and I've really seen it for maybe the past year or two as the preeminent social platform for makers. I mean, there's things like Instructables and a couple other things, and of course there's great communities on Facebook, but this is where I constantly see makers sharing their stories, sharing their projects, and communicating with each other and helping each other out, and everybody bringing each other up. But maybe I'm wrong in thinking that YouTube is really the center hub of your creative output. How much do you see YouTube as the center platform, and how much do the other social platforms like Instagram or maybe Twitch or any of the other platforms out there to share your story, how much do those matter and factor into the way you work?
I picked up the mic first, so I'll go. For me personally, YouTube is definitely the center of it because it's the way that I can best tell a story. I know other people who are fantastic woodworkers, and Instagram is that for them because it's just the best way for them to be able to show what they want to show about what they're making. And video is maybe a secondary thing to them. So I think it depends on the story you're trying to tell, but for me personally, YouTube is the center Twitch live streaming from the shop has become a close second to that because I didn't realize that that was going to be an interesting way to also tell a story, a different story. And it's an entirely different beast, even though they're both video. But I'm finding more and more that the live building in front of people and getting their real-time feedback on what I'm doing has a really big impact on the story that I can tell on YouTube. And so that's really fascinating because I can be making something and people can be saying, you know, I'm a professional wood turner, you're doing it wrong, here's how you do it right. I go, oh great, okay, well that's gonna make my final product over here way, way better.
Great. Thank you so much.
I mean, it works, you know, that could easily go out of control as well. But I've also had really an awesome experience in the live streaming area, and the people that are interested in watching that are actually really helpful. They're not the trolly kind of like live stream watching people. It's a really good community. And so the community on Twitch is awesome in one way, the YouTube community is awesome in another way. The other networks to me they feel supplemental, but necessary. That's my opinion.
Yeah, for me it's YouTube as well, definitely, because the thing that I'm so passionate about is not really the end product, it's more the time that I get to spend in my shop, experimenting with materials. Just the whole process is what I'm super into, and to the point that I'm sometimes too lazy to take a picture of the final thing that I built. Like that was my problem before I made videos. I was spending a week making something and not even documenting the end result because I immediately lose my interest when it's done. So YouTube allows me to share the process and the things that I love so much about building with the world, basically, and that's a different story. Instagram is for me also cool for just showing some background infos and giving some, I don't know, yeah, background infos, basically, that's it. But YouTube is where all my interests combine and where I have my schedule and a weekly project and a deadline, which is also very cool, and where I can communicate the best, I think.
Yeah, I think Bob said it. I think that resonated with me. Like, YouTube is the main thing and the other stuff feels supplemental. I think if you did like a Venn diagram of like people's preferred social like networks, there are certain people that are exclusively on certain platforms. So you kind of have to put content on all of them to sort of reach. As an example, I did a video a couple weeks ago with like this Hot Wheels super race thing. It's like a video of my childhood dreams. On YouTube it's like 500,000 views. Unilad is like some Facebook page. I think someone sent me yesterday it's like 50 million views because they put it up and on their channel, right? But I get nothing from that. But in the sense that it's, you're sort of extending that reach and getting the message out to people in some way. But as far as if people, I don't know what the background is in the crowd, but if you're interested in like making more of a career out of like the maker stuff that you do, it seems to me that sponsors and stuff, YouTube matters the most for them. Right? Like they don't really care how many Facebook fans you get. For them, YouTube seems to be, if you can build that up, that's the one that I think that's harder to fake getting subscribers or views. So it seems to add the most value in that sense.
Yeah, so as a maker, I think that what I'm making is actually a YouTube video. That's my end product. So I make things on the YouTube video, but they're not what matters. The only thing that matters is the video, which is why I personally make things that are completely impractical. Because in real life, a practical thing is necessary. But on YouTube, I think the more impractical is the most practical YouTube video. If that makes sense. So I'm a very practical YouTube video maker.
Do you ever have to deal with the trolls saying, so what was the point of all this?
You know, for me personally, I used to, but I've got an audience now. So I just made a hammock stand and I welded it, and I used, 8-foot redwood posts, and it's really nice, and it's something I'm really proud of, and most of my comments were, that's kind of boring. So no, I really built an audience that wants what I'm giving, which is good, because I prefer making those things.
Yeah, I think you can easily set the precedent for what people expect when they see your content. And when you set it to be like, this is an experiment, this is fun, I'm trying it, whatever, that's what they expect. And yeah, it can go both directions in that way. And I've seen a lot of people who create content on a regular basis want to change the expectation that they've set for people. And that is a hard transition. You know, you you grow a following of people who are interested in X, and then you're like, well, I want to start putting Y in there, and they're like, what is this?
Yeah.
And there's a transition period where you get a lot of people fall away who aren't interested in that new direction, but then a lot of people come on who are. And so for like me, I don't focus on one type of process. And so when somebody finds a woodworking video, they're like, oh, this guy does woodworking, cool, subscribe. And then the next video, I'm like 3D printing a lightsaber, and they're like, what is this? And then the next one, I'm doing something else. And both of those people are then mad because I'm doing something else. So, but the expectation that I've set now is you never know what you're gonna get from week to week. Maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. But expectation's a lot of that, I think.
That's actually, did I secretly send my notes to you? Because you're the perfect segue. Because a lot of you work on a lot of different projects. But I would certainly say each of your individual channels certainly has a theme or a certain feeling to that. And I guess the first question, this is going to be a little bit of a two-part question. How important is that to maintain that? And also, is that something you have to actively craft, or is that something that you kind of just guide by feel, and you either know when it's right for your channel or know when it's wrong, and maybe you need to back away from a video and rethink it?
I think it's quite easy to decide what's good for your channel if you're very close to your content. The projects that I make are very, very personal, and it's stuff that I'm personally interested in. And I make the videos the way I make them, because this is, like the shots that I take, this is exactly what's interesting to me, and this is why I liked this process. So I think it comes natural. As soon as you find your voice in making videos or Instagram or whatever it is, or Twitch, when you find your voice and you try, or you finally find that vehicle to transport your emotions, then you automatically have a style, and then you automatically only do the projects that you're passionate about. Because it is very easy to take critique for a project where you still think, man, that was really good, I don't care if you don't like it. But if you did something that you're not happy with, this criticism is a lot harder to take, I think. So.
Sure.
I think it's got to be Mark's turn, right? Did you get skipped from the last question?
No, I answered it. Apparently it wasn't very memorable. Thanks a lot. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's important to, so I'm the same way with everyone up here, and like you said, like I intentionally try and give different feels for each video to just, the only common thing, maybe a little sciencey, but it should at least be entertaining and interesting. But I think it's important to try and somehow remove yourself from the feedback loop too much, where if you're relying on what everyone's saying, or if there's this new trend of a certain type of video, and it's like, oh, I have to do that. As soon as you start chasing views to the point where it's like, you forget kind of who you are, then again, protecting that precious creative flame I was talking about before, like nothing snuffs that out faster, right? So just trying to stay internal, like what do I think is cool, and just being true to that. And of course, you will get feedback, and it's important to take in some of that, but certainly that you need to draw a line in the sand where like, okay, I'm gonna stop reading YouTube comments.
Yeah, I've kind of dealt with that too, because I went through a swing where I started out making things that were very practical. And look around our house, and I always tell people to do this when they're getting started. Look around and find something that you need in your house and make that thing, because you're personally invested in the result of that thing. I did that on YouTube for a long time, but you can only have so many tables in your house, right? And you can only have so many floating shelves. And then I was like, I have nothing else to build, so I'm gonna start making stuff that's impractical. And that's when I had to dig a little bit deeper into the, what do we need, and like, what would be fun? And again, the reaction of the people watching was like, oh, this isn't as practical as what you've done before. Like, why is that? But if I tried to stay in what I was doing out of necessity, even though I don't need to do that anymore, then I'm going to fall into that, and I'm not going to care about it, and I'm just going to be doing things because I know people want to see simple woodworking projects or whatever, and I would hate it at that point. So I've tried to take feedback when it's worthwhile, because there's a lot of people just know more than I do, and they tell me to do things differently because it's better. Great, I love that, that's awesome. If somebody says they don't like that I'm doing 3D printing because they don't like 3D printing, big deal. It doesn't matter to me at all, So you have to vet all of that feedback through, like what you're doing, and let it. I mean, some of it's good in that it can create new situations that you don't expect. Like if somebody says, well, like you could have done what you did in a different way with a different tool or whatever, well, that's a new thing to think about. But it's not necessarily going to be like, okay, now I can't use 3D printing anymore, I have to use this new tool that they brought up. So you just have to really kind of vet the feedback that you get and not let it change your course, but let it, you know, be applicable where it makes sense for what you're already doing. And also I think it's important to like let your vision for your style and all that stuff, like let it change naturally, because it will kind of shift. The more you do, the more you learn the tools, the more you learn what you like about the projects and about the end result of the video, and you'll probably end up changing your process and the way you make content a little bit. I think that's natural. It's something you should like let happen.
So I really only have one more big question, then I want to open this up to Q&A.
Can I answer that last one?
You guys probably have some questions for these guys.
Can I answer the last one?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, it's okay. Maybe you don't want me to answer it.
I do want you to answer.
Because I was thinking while everyone was talking about their expectations, I must be broken, because I don't plan anything, ever. I just kind of do whatever I want, and if I don't have an idea, I just go look in the comment section and someone says something like, "Can you turn crayons on the wood lathe?" And I said, "We can turn crayons on the wood lathe." So, you know, as long as it's not like, "Please dip a cat in epoxy," which I've gotten, I pretty much do it, and I love the comment section. I probably get around 2,000 comments a video, and I read them all, and they're golden, you know? They're golden, and there's trolls, but mostly, you know, they're small and few between, and most of the people are actually giving you advice or giving you support, and I like to be in there, and I like to be part of that, because I think that, for me, is still the most fun. I like to make a video, but I spend hours reading your comments. So I love it down there, and I love your suggestions, and I love doing projects that you have, and as long as we're mutual, you know? You're like, yeah, you want me to do that? I think that sounds like fun. We'll do it.
Excellent. So that the question I was getting into is that I know that for both Bob and Mark, you both just completed big projects that you've been working on for quite some time. With Bob, it was the your lightsaber that you just recently finished, and with Mark, the auto bullseye dartboard. Which if you haven't seen that, check that video out, it's amazing. How do you guys manage big projects versus small projects? And also, when you finish a really big project, at least that I know the two of you just did, how do you plan out, you know, the next really big one and you know, just keep that creative flow going?
This might be the same for you, I might be wrong, but I didn't plan on that being a big project.
You never do.
It was supposed to be a small project, and it just ended up, the reason this took a long time for me was I had an idea, like all the electronics of it and everything, and hey, this is literally going to take like 2 weeks. And I started it and then ran into like a power problem. Okay, well, I'll find a different power solution. But while I'm figuring this out, I have to also make videos to keep up with the thing. So it goes away for 6 months. Then I come back to it, and I solve that problem, and there's another problem. I don't have time to fix that one. So it goes away for 6 months. So it was that kind of a running thing. So I actually don't have, well, that's not true. I do have some long-term projects that I physically don't have room to do. And so part of me being able to get to those and kind of work on them like as I have time is me physically having the space to work on it for a day and then set it aside while I do other stuff. And that's a big constraint for me, and I think for a lot of people. It's like you can't have like a half-finished R2-D2 over here while you're working on like woodworking stuff right here. That's on my list, in case you're curious. So that's a big thing for me. I just try to build up the small projects as much as I can so that I can have a buffer of like 3 or 4 weeks where I don't have to create little things and I can work on something that's I know is going to take longer. But it's kind of a juggling act all the time.
Yeah, I think same, but I really resonate with, I had a laugh because I found an email to my buddy who I did the automatic bullseye dartboard with, and it's like, it was 3 years ago, and it's like, hey dude, let's get together this weekend and knock this thing out. It's like, oh, we had no idea what we're getting ourselves into. But at any given, I probably produce the fewest I just do videos once a month, so it's a little easier. I always have like 5 videos going at once. At different levels of progression, and the one for the next month I'm working mostly on, but I'm always spinning a plate of like future ideas basically. So the ones that go along, they just basically keep getting pushed out, and like Bob said, the more near-term ones just kind of come forward and you're always just working on a little bit. But it is just an amazing feeling when you release something like that you've been working on for so long, And yeah, and then it's kind of a letdown the next month when it's like another, it's not as big video, but you have those tentpole type of videos that you're really proud of.
Yeah, I think of them as hero videos and filler videos. And I had my longest hero video, which was the Jurassic Park Amber Cane, and that lasted 2 years just because of logistics. And I was super excited when it got released. And then what happened was a video that I shot in an afternoon soared by it and got, you know, twice as many views. So you never know. So sometimes hero projects turn into filler projects. Which is why I go with the whole, I don't like to plan stuff. So I only have one hero project going at a time, and I try to lower my expectations on it.
Yeah, well, basically same here. I really enjoy the freedom that YouTube gives you, that you can basically do whatever you like, but I also need some limitations, and for me that is you have to be able to afford it, you have to be able to make it, and it has to be done in a week. For some reason I tried it before, but I cannot work on 2 projects at the same time. It really confuses me, so everything starts on Monday and everything stops on Sunday, and that's the rule. So whatever happens in that week, I don't know if it's hero content or filler, could be both. Could be none of them. But yeah, I really enjoy the freedom and the limitation at the same time. Yep. So no big projects for me, sorry.
I feel like I'm getting the hand signals that we're at about time. Okay, good, because I was planning on this going until 3:45, which I was about to feel horrible that I didn't give any time for you guys to ask questions. But now is that time. Are there microphones out there for people to ask their questions, or are we just shouting at them?
We can put one of these out. We can do it too.
Let's go with you.
You can probably hear me. Not monetarily, but how would you guys define the success that you have created from doing what you do?
He said, not monetarily, but how would we define the success that we've, is that it? I'll go first because I'm already talking. For me, I mean, that's kind of a loaded question. Success is partly connected to money because it's how I make my living, right? So if I can make my living, then awesome, that's great. The other side of that, I think, is when I've gotten, this dude right here has been here 3 years in a row, right? In this room, in this talk, at our talk 3 years in a row, and you're what, 14? And that's awesome. In my mind, that's success because he's interested enough in what he's making, and I know he makes awesome stuff, to come into this, not to me, but to come into this environment and to, like, you know, invest himself in learning and finding out more about it, being a part of the community. That's amazing. So that's what I call it.
Oh, hi. Big fans, especially my children here, of you in particular, Bob. We'd like to know, how many clamps do you have?
About 5 less than I actually need.
Correct answer.
Hi, is there any tool or medium that you wanted to build something with before but you haven't had access to? And also, Peter, if no one's asked for your Hollows pendant yet, can I have it?
You can.
Is there an answer?
Is there any material that you want to work with that you haven't had a chance to yet?
Oh. I mean, I don't have anything specific in mind. I guess it's, when I see it, I want it.
I have a ton, in case you were still curious. Leather, I've never done any leather working. I really want to figure that out. I want to sew more in general, because I've only done it a little bit. Learn how to TIG weld. I want to learn CNC better, 3D printing better. There's a lot.
Hi, my name is Rashi. I love watching your videos. I love watching them so much that I wish you made more of them. Are there any it's hard for me to find channels that I enjoy. How should I find them that are similar to yours? Thank you.
Was that something specific?
I like to put ones in my sidebar. I think we all do that, don't we? So actually, if you go to the main channel for any of us, I think we all put suggestions in our sidebar for people that either inspire us or in some ways are similar. And once you start getting suggestions on YouTube, it's not going to stop.
No.
YouTube loves to give you suggestions. You want to watch some more videos?
On our podcast too, at the end of every show, we always like suggest 3 things that we're really into. I think a lot of podcasts do that. So if you're in a podcast, that's a pretty good way to kind of, find out what other people are into.
Hi, I'm Julian, and I'm a big fan of you guys, especially Mark. And I have a question for you guys. Do you think you guys could make more videos?
Mark can.
I'll let my wife answer that. The answer is no.
Especially you, Mark. I'm his twin. Make more videos.
You heard it.
I hear you.
Hi, this is for Laura. Who's watching Smudo while you're here?
Oh yeah, my friend or whatever. My friends are watching Smudo and they just sent me a picture. He's doing fine, but I think he misses me a lot.
Oh, for sure. And then also, being from Germany, how do you see the audience different in America versus over in your home area?
In America, I have an audience, so. Thank you guys.
We appreciate the other influences. We dig it. Thanks.
What is that? I didn't get that.
We appreciate your other influence in the German perspective. I lived there for a little bit, and it was cool to see that.
It's super.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Oh yeah, I appreciate you too, man.
Yeah.
Laura, I watched the video when you transitioned from one shop to the other and how you changed your shop around. That was awesome. And if you guys were to add to your shops, what would you do to make it better or something?
I'll take this because I'm actually going to do that. I haven't said it anywhere yet, but I'm moving, and I'm going to have a bigger shop. So right now, everything, one thing I'm not going to change, right now I try to multi-purpose every surface that I can, so that all the table saws and everything is at the same level, so you can use anything as outfeed or whatever. And so I try to make everything have at least 2 uses. And even though I'm going into a space that's like 5 times bigger than what I have now, I'm going to try to keep that mindset so that I don't immediately just like, I need a table for this thing and a separate table for that. But I'm going to work really hard on creating specific spaces for just a couple of things. I want like a clean room studio type space so that I don't have to have a million distractions in the background when I'm actually trying to talk about a very specific thing. I think that's going to lend something new to the videos entirely. That, and then I want to have like a couple small dedicated spaces for like spraying things, a paint booth type area, and then a metalworking area. Because I think when woodworking and those 2 things get all mixed up, it gets really nasty, and that's when your shop turns into a wreck. So I'm going to try to actively separate those 3 things.
This question is for Mark. Did you have any concept, well, of course you had a couple, did you have a firm grasp of how far outside that football field you're going to have to go when you made that scale model of the solar system?
Yeah, so he's referring to, we made used a drone to demonstrate how big of the scale of the solar system was, and we used like grapes and peas and stuff. And the answer was like no, and even the guy, Mike Brown, he discovered this 10th planet that we're still trying to find, but the math says it's there. He watched the video and contacted me, and he's the dude who discovered how far this away it was. And we had to go 17 miles. The sun was the size of a soccer ball. This planet was the size of a pea, and we had to go 17 miles away. That's what the orbit is. He saw that, and even he was like, dang, that's crazy. So no, the answer to that is no. And Neptune was like this head of a pin, and that was like a mile away of a soccer ball that was the sun. So it's pretty remarkable. Good question.
Over here.
Hey there. I would like to know what advice you might have for people who are interested in starting up a YouTube channel to get the maximum amount of subscribers quickly, and more importantly, would it be different at all if it's for a nonprofit organization like ours?
I think honestly the key is not to worry about the subscribers too much, because that will really distract you and that will put a pressure on you that is very difficult to turn off. So as soon as you start thinking about numbers and, oh my god, this video was so special to me, I hope it's getting the right view count, that will mess with you and distract you from actually doing the job. So I wouldn't worry about that. Maybe tape, is it possible to tape up that space on the laptop? Probably not, but maybe try to take the subscriber number off. Don't watch it. And just try to find your groove, try to express yourself, and try to find a work-life balance that you are very happy with and that you can sustain for a long time. Because regular content and keeping a schedule, I think, is very important for your audience and also for you. And if you find the sweet spot, where you're happy, you enjoy making content, then you probably will be also successful on YouTube. Okay?
Another really quick, big misconception is that subscribers actually mean anything. It does not. In the YouTube world, views are what actually matter to everything. Subscriber is just this weird metric that we all kind of hang on to for whatever reason. So, the only way that you're going to get things viewed, which is what matters, is by making good content.
Yeah.
People can subscribe to you for a million reasons, not all good.
Yeah. And to add to that even more, I don't have crazy views on my videos compared to these guys. It's also about building a community, and if you try to make videos that are viral, people will probably don't like that. So I don't have crazy successful videos, but it's working out fine. So don't pressure yourself.
Yeah, don't force it.
Don't force it and enjoy it.
I was also going to add, somebody who's not up here, but I certainly wish he was, another YouTuber. He's here this weekend by the name of Donald Bell. He's a former co-worker of us at Make, and watching his channel grow has been an opportunity to see a channel grow from essentially nothing. And I think he's 34 episodes into his weekly show, and he's just been steadily growing, stayed honest to his content, and as people have liked and shared his videos, and people help build momentum for him, he's just slowly, steadily growing, and he's really starting to take off.
I'll just add real quick, a corollary to that question you get a lot is like, how can I make money off YouTube? And I think the best answer for that is to build a time machine, and then to go back like 8 years when YouTube was first starting. Like, if your motivation is to get on YouTube to make money, like, you should that's a terrible way to start. You will never sustain it to even get to that point. If your motivation is to you're super passionate about this, you want to learn how to make films, you want to learn how to build stuff, that's 100% where you need to start. And if the people who watch your stuff can really get that, they feel that from you, then the success will come, but it's not the other way.
If you want to make money, get a second job.
And if you do make a time machine, please contact us at Make Magazine. We'd love to share the project. Do we have time for more questions?
One more.
I was just wondering, how long does it take you guys to edit your videos?
I have the microphone, so I will say that. And this will probably be different for them, and this is why I don't do more videos. For me, it's anywhere from 60 to 100 hours per video, just on any video. That's everything. And the editing is maybe like a third of that, because I'm a perfectionist, and I can't stand to outsource anything. So I am a terrible example.
Wow. I suddenly feel a whole lot better. I hate editing so much, but I think it takes me 6 hours, and now my bad editing has just become my method. And now it's the way I do it. It's so artistic.
I actually hired an editor, a good friend of mine, a year and a half ago or something. And for every video, he edits for about 6 hours, and then does color correction for about 2 hours, and then I do another hour of voiceover, and then there's maybe another hour of just kind of general cleanup. So that's weekly.
Yeah, for some reason editing is the one thing that I really don't have to think about at all. I think I do most of the work with the camera, so I edit in the camera, and then on Sunday, I release Sunday around between 12 and 2, and I get up Sundays between 6 and 8, and then I drink coffee, and I sit there, and then it's done. And I upload. It's magic. So maybe 4 hours, I would say. Yeah.
I think it's a great way to end a Maker Faire talk on how to make a video. So thank you very, very much.